Hiring entry level is key for us, and looking for character traits of those entry level employees is much more important than looking for past experience. A lot of people who wind up deciding to work at ALKU follow the same trajectory that I did, which means I don't know what ALKU is. I don't really know what staffing is, but the people that I talk to seem like they're on a mission, seem like they're fun to work with, seem like they'll teach me and spend the time to work with me to make sure I'm successful. And that's why a lot of employees wind up working at the company.
So the company's been recognized both for rapid growth, but also for its strong culture. Mm-hmm. And what are the leadership practices that have been non-negotiable for you to lead the company through that journey?
We are old school business practice, meaning, you're going to have to follow a hardcore process to have success here. You're going to have to make a lot of phone calls. You're going to have to, hit these KPIs that we lay out every single week and make sure you're, meeting or exceeding those. And, we view that as sort of like an old school sales mindset in terms of how we approach the business, but with what we call cutting edge people practice, right? So old school business practice, but cutting edge people practice. And what we mean by cutting edge people practice is we will spend a ton of time with you as you're learning the business, as you're following that process. We'll teach you every step along the way. We'll create goal sheets for you. We'll hold you accountable to those goal sheets. We'll have weekly one-on-ones. We'll have additional training opportunities. And then as you start to elevate your career and have success, we will put you on a career path where you can learn even more, where you can get into leadership if that's something that you want to accomplish, where you can become a career salesperson or a career recruiter at the company if that's the path that you want to go. Hey, if you're really interested in learning how to train others and invest in our intern program and, be in our training centers, which, that's a whole nother part of the business that we've invested in the last few years. If that's a path that you want to go, we have a way to get you there. So we just invest a lot of our time as leaders in not only the newer folks into the company and making sure that they have success, but when they start having the success, showing them a career path of how they can continue to develop. So that's how we've approached it. And one other thing to add that's extremely important is we hire essentially exclusively entry level. So people that are coming out of college with no experience, teaching them how to have success in this job is, it's a lot. It's a lot of work for the leadership team to do that, but that's how we learned, right? We didn't know anything and we all learned a process and then had success, and now we teach it to others. So hiring entry level is key for us, and looking for character traits of those entry level employees is much more important than looking for past experience, right?
I have two questions. I want two threads there that I want to pull on. Yep. One is, so hiring entry level, which I'd read that you do. So pre-prepared question here. That seems like it's really great for a cohesive culture, right? You bring people in, you sort of mold them into, what you want in terms of I'm sure you hire well because that's what you do. But then you sort of mold them into the ALKU way, if you will, which is wonderful for a cohesive culture. But how do you foster innovation and new ideas at all levels when you have what would seem to be sort of more of a monoculture within the organization?
We've always tried to find ways to how do we keep people so focused on a process that is relatively rigid, but as they learn that process, how do they start to bring new ideas, innovate, create new, create new opportunities within the company? And there's a couple of ways we've done that. One was, we've had this, we called it Mark Tank, which is, when Mark was the CEO, instead of Shark Tank, it was Mark Tank, which is come up with your ideas and submit them and pitch them in front of, a few executives and the whole company to, come up with some ideas on innovation and new things that we can do. And we've actually taken things from those, Mark Tank initiatives and, implemented them into the company. And then, the other thing that we do, and this is something that we've done really since the beginning, is while you're following that process as an account manager or a recruiter, inevitably you're going to be talking to lots of consultants if you're on the recruiting side, or lots of hiring managers if you're on the account management side, the sales side. And over the course of a long period of time, you start to learn more and more about the niche or the industry in which you're in. And from time to time, you start to hear as an account manager or a recruiter, hey, there's this new market, or there's this new skill set, or there's this new area within an industry that we don't currently support, but that seems to be highly in demand. And I keep hearing it from my hiring managers, or the consultants I'm working with keep talking about, upskilling themselves in these areas that I haven't heard about yet. And when we have these monthly strategy meetings with every division that we have, where that information is distilled and talked about and then acted upon if we deem, hey, this is a new market that we want to get into. So a lot of the new ventures that we've gotten into, whether it be the semiconductor space, which we just launched, or even like a new ERP division like Infor or Dayforce, or back in the day, Workday, like we got into these markets a lot of times through those grassroots efforts at the desk level. So that is a way that we innovate and get into new areas, is by empowering our desk level employees to share that information and help us make those decisions of where to go next.